Hello and welcome to Horror Bois. It's a podcast on the internet. I'm Austin, joined as always by
Chris.
And we are the Horror Bois. And this isn't any old podcast on this old internet. No. My friends, this is a horror movie review podcast where every week we review a horror movie. And it's a week, so we're going to review a horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, crazy. But before we start, I just want to, date the podcast and say that the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strike is still happening, and it needs to end. And that's not by, them accepting the crap that's being given to them by the AMPTP. That's by the AMPTP realizing that the actors and the writers matter.
Yeah.
Because without them, we wouldn't have this. So,
that's right.
Screw the AMPTP.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sincerely.
Yeah. Until we want to make a movie, and then we have to deal with them, and we pretend like we love them the whole time.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah. But that would only be after this strike is over, which hopefully by the time we'd be ready to make a movie, it would be. Gosh.
That would be really depressing if it wasn't.
Yeah. But today we're going to start kind of, but continue, but also not. We're talking about Halloween 2 today because we're going to be starting our Halloween discussion. You may be like, why are you starting Halloween 2 then? Well, our podcast comes out on Mondays, and last year Halloween was on a Monday. So we had to put out an episode on Halloween. Like, that opportunity does not land in your lap that often.
Yeah.
Like once every, 6 years on average? Because then there's also, the leap years that mess everything up. So, I don't even know. I don't know the average time that a day... I don't know. I'm going to move on. We're talking about Halloween 2.
That's right.
And we got our director is Rick Rosenthal of The Birds 2. And 2 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah. The second being a decent season 7 episode called Help. But the first is the season 6 episode, Normal Again, which is such a good episode that I'm not going to explain the plot because it's so good and I don't want to spoil it, because I'm going to someday make Chris watch the show. Maybe for a podcast someday, or maybe just as a friend. I'm like, hey, please watch this with me.
Sure.
Yeah, because I love that show, and I just, that's it. I love that show. I love Buffy. Yeah, let's talk about our writers for this movie, because it's the one, the only, the legend, John Carpenter, and the honestly deserves just as much accolades, but doesn't quite get it as much as she probably should, the late Deborah Hill, who are both returning from writing Halloween. Yeah, I believe that when they wrote it, they were married. I could be wrong on if that was a fact or not. I think it was. Our composers, we'll start with, we have the returning John Carpenter. But this time around, he is also being joined by Alan Howarth of Christine, They Live, Prince of Darkness, and the Reanimator franchise's own Brian Yuzna's directed Dentist 1 and 2. I tried that. That was probably a better way to word it. But the point is, he was in the Dentist 1 and 2, which, hey, Brian Yuzna is the Horror Bois alum, and he directed that. That was what I was trying to say there. And also, fun fact, he was working on the Star Trek 2 soundtrack at the same time he was working on this score. So he was like, I think he said that he was working on Star Trek 2 in the morning and then Halloween 2 at night.
Interesting.
And that was his life at this point. Our director of photography is Dean Cundy, returning from Halloween. And also, fun fact, I didn't even have it written down, but I just remember it from a documentary. I believe Dean Cundy turned down doing Poltergeist for this movie because he felt a loyalty to John Carpenter.
John?
Yeah. So he gave up the opportunity to do Poltergeist for Halloween 2. Some might say that was a mistake, some might not. I don't know. Depends on what I guess you want from horror. Sure. Our production designer is the late J. Michael Riva of Scrooged, Spider-Man 3, Iron Man 1 and 2, Amazing Spider-Man, Django Unchained, and Goonies, alongside Horror Bois alum stuntman the late Bob Heron of Child's Play 3, Gene Ross of Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Joe Pantoliano.
Yeah, Pantoliano.
Okay. Of Chucky
it.
Season 2. He goes by Joey Pants in that, so that's all I know him as.
That makes sense.
And Corey Feldman of Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and part 5. They were all in The Goonies alongside our production designer. Our makeup technician is the late John Chambers. Then we also have makeup art. We didn't have anything that was like labeled as like special effects like person. I just went with the makeup stuff we had here. We have the makeup artists. Just one. We have Michael Germain even, of The Burbs, Blade, Drag Me to Hell, and definitely most importantly in the horror world, Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Squeakquel.
Yeah, that is the horror to watch.
Oh, I like the first one. I don't know if I've seen the second one.
I don't know if I have either, actually.
The special effects supervisor is the late Lawrence J. Kavanaugh of Face Off, The Running Man, and Dick Tracy, alongside Horror Boy alums makeup artist Bruce Spalding Fuller of Nightmare on Elm Street 5 and Bride of Reanimator, actor and stuntman Jim Wilkie of New Nightmare, actor and stuntman the late Chuck Hicks of Bride of Reanimator, Charles Fleischer of Nightmare on Elm Street, the late James Caan of Santa Slay, and the late Arthur Millay of Halloween. And also, the character Dick Tracy appears in a wrestling thing we and Chris do.
True.
All based off of a inside joke where we were actually just wrong.
Yeah. Fairness, it looks exactly like Dick Tracy.
It really did. The stunt coordinator is Horror Boy alum Dick Warlock of Friday the 13th, Part 5, Child's Play 2 and 3. That's it. I worded it in a way where I thought there was going to be more, but no, it's just Child's Play 2 and Child's Play 3. Not that, being in 3 movies isn't already, really cool.
A lot, yeah.
He is a 3-time Horror Boy alum. Our visual effects are done by Sam Nicholson of Ghostbusters 2, Star Trek 2, Highlander 2, The Hidden 2, Cyborg 2, Mirror Mirror 2, Firestarter 2, Urban Legend 3, Carrie the TV movie, and is a Horror Boy alum for Seed of Chucky.
Interesting.
Which I appreciate, but Chris despises him for it.
I mean, I don't know if the visual effects are what I, really despised in that movie.
Yeah, no, because I assume if he's the visual effects guys, he was in charge of the opening credits where they have the, the seed of Chucky, if you will, in the fallopian tubes.
No, that was pretty awful, actually.
I don't know if that...
I will hold that against them.
Okay. Well... The next thing on this thing is, I don't know. I'm not going to say it. I don't know what this thing is here. I don't know who wrote this.
Horror Bois Theater breakdown.
What's that? What is...
Horror Bois Theater?
I've never heard of.
Horror Bois Theater.
What is it?
Well, Horror Bois Theater, you see, is a little thing that me and Austin do, where we voice the characters in the movie.
Yeah. We treat it like a teleplay almost, if you will.
Yeah.
We're going to break down who we're going to be playing in
Horror Bois Theater.
If you don't know why I'm not saying
Horror Bois Theater,
go back to the previous episodes.
That's right.
I will be playing Dr. Loomis, Jimmy, Karen, Ramsey, Patrolman 1 through 3, Miss Alves, News Reporter, Dr. Mixter, Janet, Producer, Alice, Gary's mother, Craig, and Mr. and Mrs. Strode. I wrote that down, but they're actually not even in the movie, so I won't be playing them. I don't know where they're supposed to be in this movie, but they have credits, so I wrote them down here.
I also just like the thought of Patrolman 1 through 3.
Yeah. Because they all have, 2 lines each, so I wasn't going to split that up into multiple, things,
That's fair. And I will be playing the part of our final girl, Lori.
Spoiler!
As well as everyone's favorite character, Neighbor.
Great character, yes.
As well as Sheriff Brackett, Sally, Bud, Darcy, Marion, Gary, Graham, who is also me, Jill, Mr. Garrett, the Marshal, Mrs. Elrod, Kid Gary, and Randy. And a loaded cast.
Yeah, it's a crazy cast. And speaking of crazy, I don't know where I'm going with that, but we're going to start with our opening. We open with Mr. Sandman by the Cordettes playing with cards telling us we're in Haddonfield, Illinois on October 31st, 1978. That's where the last movie happened.
Yeah.
We then,
picking
speaking of
right
last
up.
movie, we then transition into the last 3 minutes of the original film. Ending with Loomis shooting the Shape 6 times, with him falling out of the window. We cut to new footage with Loomis running out the door to where he confirms that the Shape is not in the grass, but does find his blood.
Scary.
Sam Loomis is played by the returning and sadly late Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
I mean, it is still sad, but he was also it's not like he's young. He wasn't young when this was made, and he lived to the 90s. So,
yeah.
A neighbor of the Doyles comes out and says,
Yeah.
What?
Huh.
That's not all. There's a whole 4-word sentence here, and you just didn't say it?
What do you mean?
A neighbor of the Doyles comes out and says...
What's going on out there?
Yeah, okay, it did not pick up at all the first time you said it.
Oh, okay.
I just heard, eh. I was like, no, there's a line there, Chris.
No, I did say, what's going on out there? But I guess I was too loud when I said it.
Yeah, it did not pick up, so I was like, you gonna say the line, Chris?
No, I did.
Loomis responds, call the police. Tell the sheriff I shot him.
Oh.
Tell him he's still on the loose.
You didn't answer my question. I said, who? Is this some kind of joke? I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight.
You don't know what death is.
Okay.
Then the iconic Halloween theme hits as Loomis runs away.
And it does hit.
The neighbor is played by an uncredited Don Ramey Logan, who was also uncredited in The Entity and John Carpenter's The Fog, alongside Horror Boy alums Jamie Lee Curtis, Tommy Lee Wallace, Nancy Keys, Charles Cyphers, all of Halloween, and the late George Buckflower of Wishmaster.
Nice.
Then we get our title card and credits. This time around, there's a jack-o'-lantern that breaks away to reveal a skull. Ooh, scary.
Oh, skull.
Yeah. When we come back from the credits, we're in the Shape POV. Woo! Shape POV.
Yippee.
Yeah. Or as I like to call it, Billy POV, because I respect Black Christmas for doing it first.
We're in the killer cam.
Yeah, Killer Cam. That would have been funnier than Shape POV. I say Shape POV throughout the rest of this. Killer Cam would have been funnier.
Sorry.
And that's why I'm starting next week. Chris is taking over notes because he's just better.
No! God, why?
You can see how long it takes Chris to do it. It takes me somewhere in the 6 to 10 hour range.
I don't have that kind of time.
I guess you better do it quicker.
It's fair.
So yeah, the Shapes. Also, this was a decision I made. Throughout the rest of my notes, I will be referring to him as the Shape because that was John Carpenter's initial intention of him. There will be characters that call him Michael Myers throughout this, and I will say, starting with 4 when he returns. Spoiler, because it's called The Return of Michael Myers. I will be calling him Michael Myers at that point going forward in the series, but for now, he's the Shape because that's what he's credited on IMDb and in the credits, and I think that's what John Carpenter wanted still at this point, and they still cared about his vision at this point. So I will be calling him the Shape because he's pure evil, who's also not as pure evil as we thought. Now he's actually because of cults, and there's also he's only wants to kill his sister. Well, I didn't say that. Let's move on.
Is that what?
We'll get to that.
No, yeah. Okay.
Did you already read that?
As he
So
walks
he's running around
behind
an alleyway, and he sees children at one end, and then he gets scared by a dog, And then he hides behind a building as Sheriff Brackett drives up to Loomis on the other end. Sheriff Lee Brackett is played by the returning Charles Cyphers. Loomis says, "I shot him 6 times!"
What?
"I shot him 6 times! I shot him in the heart!"
He can't have gotten very far.
"I shot him 6 times! This man, he's not human!" Loomis and Brackett get in Brackett's cop car and drive off. We stay in POV shot as the Shape walks up to a window of a house. Inside, a woman, Mrs. Elrod, is making a sandwich and calls out... Who's that? Is that me or you? Let's see.
I want to say I'm Mrs. Elrod.
Yeah.
Am I?
Yeah, you are.
I am. All right. And calls out, "Harold, you want mayonnaise on your sandwich? How about mustard?"
We leave the POV shot and see that Mr. Elrod doesn't respond because he's asleep in front of the TV as Night of the Living Dead is about to start.
Mrs. Elrod asks, "Are you asleep again?"
Mrs. Elrod is played by the late Lucille Benson. We cut back to the POV shot as the Shape enters the back door into the kitchen. He grabs the knife Mrs. Elrod was using to make a sandwich as Mrs. Elrod is distracted by a breaking news bulletin on the TV about the events of the last movie.
Very scary.
Yeah, we see the Shape leave the kitchen. The Shape is played by stunt coordinator Dick Warlock. Mrs. Elrod returns to the kitchen and finds blood where the knife used to be. She screams. It didn't pick up, but just know he tried to scream, guys.
I tried. I'm sorry.
There we go. Perfect. And we cut to the Shape walking outside a different house. Out of the house comes Alice, who calls out, "Mrs. Elrod? Mr. Elrod? Are you okay?" She gets no response and goes back inside. Alice is played by Anne Bruner. The Shape watches Alice from the window. Alice picks up the phone, and it's Gusfit! Wait. No, it's just Sally. Alice says, "Hi, there is someone screaming next door. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Elrod. His wife's always picking on him. He probably got angry and decided to start beating her. Oh, big deal." We cut to the inside, and we now hear Sally on the other line say,
"Are your folks home?"
"They're gone. My dad had to take my Aunt Ruby to Hardin County, and my mother decided to go along."
"Didn't you hear?"
"Hear about what?"
"A girl got killed in Haddonfield. It's on the radio."
"Hold on." She heads over and turns on the radio, where she finds out 3 girls were found murdered on the northwest side of Haddonfield. Alice picks the phone back up and says, I can't believe it."
"I know. You know. We probably knew her."
"Where did it happen?" The Shape opens the door behind Alice without her noticing.
"Down on Orange Grove."
"That's right down the street."
"I know."
Alice hears sirens outside and says, "Sally, I can hear sirens coming."
"They said the guy got away."
"Did they know who it was?"
"No."
"Oh, God!" And she's startled by a noise, dropping the phone and turning around to see her front door is open. We can still hear Sally say,
"Alice? Alice? What's wrong? Alice?"
Alice says, looking into the living room, "Who is it?" She starts to walk to the door, but the Shape jumps out and stabs her in the chest.
Tragic.
Or the neck, I can't tell. There's blood splatters on her face.
Yeah.
We cut to Laurie being loaded into an ambulance by Jimmy and Bud. Laurie Strode is played by the returning Jamie Lee Curtis. Excuse me. Jimmy is played by Lance Guest of Jaws the Revenge and The Last Starfighter alongside Horror Bois alums Al Berry and the late Bunny Summers, they're both in Reanimator. and also an uncredited Bruce Abbott is also in that. So that's why I didn't say the reanimator part. I was like, that's weird. Why did I say that? And it was also directed by OG The Shape, Nick Castle. So that's a weird little connection.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. No way. Yeah. It's Nialis.
How about it? It's crazy.
Bud is played by Leo Rossi of Analyze This and Relentless, alongside Horror Boy alum, the late George Buckflower. In the ambulance, Jimmy asks, I didn't think about what voice I want to do for him at all. And I don't want him to just be, bro, what's up? Because that's every voice I do for the male lead.
Yeah. Sure is.
Lori. No. Let's figure this out. Lori, can you hear me? He's a nerd, apparently, in my mind now.
He's kind of a dweeb.
Yeah.
But also not. Oh, yeah. Woof. Don't let them put me to sleep.
It's alright. We're gonna go to the clinic.
Don't let them put me to sleep.
Bud starts driving and asks,
hey, you know this chick?
Yeah, her name's Laurie Strode. She goes to school with my little brother, Ziggy.
Her old man Strode, Strode Realty.
Yeah!
Okay.
We cut to the hospital. A kid named Gary and his mother arrive outside. Gary is holding a towel to his face and his mother's hands are bloody. Gary's mother is played by Lee French, who mostly does additional voices for cartoons, like she did in Barnyard, and also ADR work, which actually makes her a Horror Boy alum for her work on The Faculty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Young Gary, or Kid Gary, or Little Gary, I call him a bunch of different things throughout the notes. It's not to be confused with the other Gary, because there's two different Garys in this movie. And yeah, I could have called the other one, Hunt, throughout the whole thing, because I think that's his last name, but I don't. In the notes, he's Gary. This is Little Gary, or Kid Gary, or sometimes just Gary. So Little Gary, though, he's played by Ty Mitchell of John Carpenter's The Fog. Gary's mother says, okay, just get out easy. It's gonna be okay. Walk real slow, okay? You're alright. You're alright, hon. Gary stops walking and moves the towel as he coughs up blood. Gary's mother says, oh, God. Here, just put it up there real gently. You okay? Let's go. Just walk real slow. Come on. We see that he's got a razor blade stuck in his mouth.
Yeah, classic Halloween.
Yeah. The ambulance drives up to the hospital. We then, for a needlessly long time, stay with Bud and Jimmy as they take Lori out of the ambulance and wheel her inside. At reception for the ER is Nurse Jill, who says to Gary's mother, I think that's you. I believe you are, Jill.
Fill out this form. Someone will be with you.
I lost.
And Gary's mother says.
Oh yeah, I lost my place. Give me a second.
That's fair.
Gary's mother says. Gary's mother. Oh, down here all the way. Well, we should see a doctor right away.
He's with a patient. Please wait in room A.
Ugh. Come on, hon. And she walks away.
Thank you.
Jill is played by Tawny Moyer. Jimmy and Bud walk up, and Jimmy says, where's Dr. Mixter?
He's been at the country club. I think he's drunk. Oh, great. What have you got? Stab wound, left anterior chest, possibly penetrating, multiple contusions. It's Laurie Strode.
Yeah, let's go.
Possible fracture, right ankle.
Miss Alves walks over to help with Laurie. Miss Alves is played by Gloria Gifford of 48 Hours, and This Is Spinal Tap, alongside Horror Boy alum Fran Drescher of Santa's Sleigh.
Fran Drescher.
We then pan over.
Oh, we do love Fran Drescher.
Oh yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind her.
As SAG-AFTRA leader.
Oh yeah, that's true. We then pan over.
Not so much for her working the nanny.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the nanny, but
yeah,
I liked her in Santa's Sleigh. It was a short role, but it worked.
Sure.
We then pan over to see Dr. Mixter hands a cup to Janet, saying, "I believe I'm Dr. Mixter." I am. Okay.
Yeah.
So he says, I lost my place. Okay, he's saying to Janet, Janet, give me some more coffee. Dr. Mixter is played by the late Ford Rainey of 3:10 to Yuma. Janet is played by Anna Alicia. Alicia, probably. I put too much stank on that. Miss Elves says, "Get that out of here." Jimmy and Bud wheel out the stretcher. Dr. Mixter says, "Oh, Lori. Hi there. Well, let's see what we have here. Yes. You lost a lot of blood. We'll need to type it. Yeah. When was the last time you had a tetanus shot?"
I don't know.
"Give me some 3O nylon on a cutting needle." Right away, Janet leaves to get a cutting needle. Dr. Mixter says, We're going to have to put her out."
No, don't put me to sleep.
"Okay, relax. We're not going to hurt you."
No, please don't put me to sleep.
Dr. Mixter injects her, saying, "Take it easy." Jill.
Try to relax, Lori. Dr. Mixtures will have you stitched up in no time.
"Take it easy, Lori." We cut to Loomis and Brackett in the cop car. Loomis says, "Circle the block again."
How long now?
"It's about 30 minutes. Put the light down there. There by the trees."
There's nothing.
"We'll keep going."
Well, Doctor, I'm just about there.
"What?"
The point where I stopped taking orders from you.
"All right, Sheriff. Whatever you want. The primary concern is that we stop him."
You let him out.
"I didn't."
His own gosh dang doctor.
"I didn't let him out." Over the police radio, we hear, "Chief Brackett, come in, please."
Who is it?
"Chief, this is Ramsey."
Say again? What is it?
"This is Ramsey.
Where are you?
I'm out by the bakery, moving north on the Scottsville Road."
Get the hell back in town. Go up 17th Street and meet me by the bypass.
10-4. Ramsey clear. Brackett notices Loomis holding his gun and says,
Would you put that thing away? You couldn't have shot him 6 times.
"You think I'm lying, Sheriff, but didn't you hear me? I shot him 6 times!"
I think you missed him. No man could take 6 slugs.
"I'm telling you, this isn't a man!" Some kids can be heard laughing, and Loomis says, "Look out! Slow down!
Why?
Over there! Look! We see what looks like it could be the shape down the sidewalk.
Is that him?
"I don't know." He gets out of the car and starts running towards the shape, yelling at the kids on the way. "Get back! Run! Go on, run! Move it! Get back! You kids! Run! Move it! Stop! Loomis aims his gun, but Brackett grabs him, saying,
Don't shoot!
Loomis pushes him off, but before he can shoot, the shape is hit by a cop car that then crashes into a plumbing van, causing a giant explosion, killing him.
Yeah.
Spoiler, this is not the shape. But we find out later that it's Bennett Tramer, who was mentioned in the first movie as the guy Annie wants Lori to go on a date with.
Yeah.
Bennett Tramer is played by Jack Verboy. Verboy?
I would say Verboy.
Verboy, okay. Of Predator and...
Verbois.
Verbois. Jack Verbois of Predator and Army of Darkness.
No, I don't think.
Alongside Horror Boy alums, and this is the point where I realized, oh my goodness, Army of Darkness is another one of those movies.
Yeah, it makes sense.
With Horror Boy alum Ian Abercrombie, who I don't feel like I said what Ian. I think I wrote these out of order. Ian Abercrombie was from Jack Frost 2. I don't think we've mentioned him today, but he probably comes up later where I did put it in his things, but it doesn't matter. Oh, Ted Raimi of Wishmaster, Stuntman Tom Morga of Friday the 13th 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Child's Play 3. Stunt coordinator Christopher Doyle of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, New Nightmare, Scream, and Scream 2. Special effects artist Billy Bryan of Child's Play and Curse of Chucky. Makeup artist and actor William Butler of Friday the 13th 7 and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Makeup artist Bruce Spalding Fuller of Nightmare on Elm Street 5 and Bride of Reanimator. Animatronic effects and puppeteer Mark Rappaport of Child's Play 3 and The Lighthouse. Makeup artist Wayne Toth of The Faculty, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Freddy's Dead, New Nightmare, Jason Goes to Hell, Wishmaster, and Bride of Reanimator. Makeup artist Greg Solomon of I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Makeup artist and puppeteer Tony Gardner of Seed of Chucky through, as of now, Season 2 of Chucky. And lastly, but also not technically because there's 3 of them, the K&B Effects group of Robert Kurtzman, Greg Nicotero, and Howard Berger, who've done way too many movies to bring up, but I'll highlight Wishmaster, Scream, The Faculty, and most recently, Bride of Reanimator.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
That's all the people who worked on Army of Darkness. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. Loomis and Brackett run over to the wreckage as the policeman gets out of the car. The policeman says, Sheriff Brackett! He came out of nowhere! I couldn't stop! Loomis stares at the burning body of Ben Tramer.
Is it him? Is it him or not?
Loomis does not respond. So I'm not sure who this policeman is played by, but here are 2 possibilities. Patrolman 1 is played by Ken Smolka. Patrolman 2 is played by the late Roger Hampton of Critters, alongside Horror Boy alum Lynn Shay of Nightmare on Elm Street and New Nightmare. And I'm pretty sure it's not this third option, but I'll mention it here just because I don't know for sure when he does show up. There's also Patrolman 3, played by an unmasked Dick Warlock.
Huh.
Yeah. Another cop drives up. It's Gary Hunt. Gary Hunt is played by Hunter Von Leer. Gary says. I feel like he had like a weird southern accent for no reason, even though this movie takes place in Ohio.
Like? They found 3 bodies. Where? Across the street from the dollhouse. 3 kids. Like? One of them was Annie.
Brackett
leaving
and says,
What?
Brackett, Gary, and Loomis all get into Gary's cop car and drive off. Back at the hospital, Gary's mother and little Gary are leaving. Gary's mother asks, Does it hurt a lot? You try again. There we go. Perfect. Gary's mother says, What? I can't understand you. Look, it'll be okay. We'll play some games tonight. We cut inside to Bud, Jill, and Mr. Garrett watching a news update about the original movie's tragedy. Mr. Garrett is played by the late Cliff Emmett of Inspector Gadget. We then see 3 consecutive pointless shots of Janet, then Miss Alves, and lastly Jimmy walking in the halls. Jimmy sneaks into Laurie's room. She is asleep, and he wakes her up with a gentle rub of his finger on her hand. Jimmy says, Hi.
Hi.
Miss Alves comes in and says, Jimmy, leave her alone. Well, how are you feeling?
Sore? What happened?
Cracked a bone. You're lucky it wasn't a break. Dr. Mixter felt that he should wait till tomorrow before he put a cast on. You have to get some rest. Come on, Jimmy. Miss Alves and Jimmy pretends to follow her. Miss Alves leaves and Jimmy pretends to follow her, but turning around and asking, Can I get you something to drink? Lori nods.
Lori nods.
How about a Coke?
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Bud comes in and says,
Come on. Jimmy, we gotta roll. Another call came in.
okay. Get you that Coke later. Miss Alves comes back in and says, out. We cut to the outside in front of the Wallace house. A news reporter says, I think that's me.
Oh, my news reporter?
No, that's me. I think I had you have it, but then I realized you had too much, so I took it from you. The news reporter says, moments ago, a police reported that Michael Myers, formerly of Haddonfield, who fled the Smiths Grove Warren County Sanitarium last night, was believed to have burned to death. Meanwhile, 3 bodies were discovered in the upstairs bedroom of the house directly behind me. Identification of the victims is withheld pending notification. That's the last we hear of him as he and his crew walk off. A producer says to her assistant,
Forget that.
No, I'm the producer.
Okay.
Forget that. I wasn't going to do that voice, but because you did, I have to. I want to concentrate on the house. Talk to some kids, see if anybody saw anything. You need their parents' permission to use a statement. If you can't find the parents, get a statement anyway. She walks over to the cops that just arrived. Gary Hunt, before she can say anything, says,
Not now.
The producer is played by Catherine Bergstorm. Her assistant is played by a young Dana Carvey of Master of Disguise, SNL, Wayne's World 1 and 2, and the very underappreciated Dana Carvey Show. Go watch the Dana Carvey Show, everyone. It's an 8-episode, 30-minute long sketch comedy show like SNL. It was so funny, and it got canceled after only 8 episodes. It's a shame. It was amazing.
R.I.P.
He's also from, 94. And it's, a sketch comedy show. So there's also... You're going to learn something about 94 politics a little bit. So it's educational as well.
There you go.
You want to learn about Ross Perot? Go back and watch the Dana Carvey Show. Gary, Brackett, and Loomis walk up to Jimmy and Bud, who are carrying out a body on a gurney. Someone, I think Jimmy, mumbles, this is one of the girls. Brackett removes the sheet from over the body's head to reveal Annie, his daughter. Annie's dead body is played by the returning Nancy Keys. Or at the time, I believe she was credited as Nancy Loomis, which is a weird little fun fact. That, I don't think it was ever her real name, but she was using the fake name Nancy Loomis, which also happened. And I think it was unrelated to the fact that there ended up being a Loomis in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just a weird coincidence that her fake name was the same as one of the characters in the movie.
Interesting.
I'll also mention that on the Halloween series wiki, which I honestly normally trust fan wikis because they normally do a lot more research than I will be able to find. So, but still take it with a grain of salt if you want to. It also says she voices Sally from the phone call earlier, but she's not credited, so I'm not sure if it's true. Brackett closes her eyes and recovers her face. Jimmy and Bud take the body away. Brackett says,
I have to go and tell my wife before somebody else does. And it's not the voice he had.
it's okay. It's the last time he ever talks.
Goodbye, Brackett. I said goodbye, Brackett.
Well, not yet. He has one more.
Yeah. Gary says, go on home, Lay. Go on home. I'll take care of everything. And Brackett turns to Loomis and says, Dang you! What have you done?
I haven't done anything.
You let him out!
I didn't let him out. I gave orders for him to be restrained. Brackett walks off to never be seen again.
And Gary asks, Is there anything else we can do for you?
If that wasn't Michael Myers burning up in that car, then a lot of other kids are gonna be slaughtered tonight.
He's dead. I saw him.
You saw a man in a mask.
It was him.
I want to believe you, but I gotta be sure. I can't stop until I'm certain that he's dead.
You're talking about him like he's some kind of animal. Would you keep them back?
Some other police officers push the press and civilians back. Loomis said, "He was my patient for 15 years. He became an obsession with me until I realized there was nothing within him, neither conscience nor reason, that was even remotely human. An hour ago, I stood up and fired 6 shots into him. He just got up and walked away. I am talking about the real possibility that he's still out there. Where did they take the body?"
Coroner's office.
"Get a dentist to meet me there in half an hour." They leave and we cut to Main Street. A boy in a cowboy hat walks past the camera with a boombox on his shoulder playing the news. The teen with the radio is played by Lance Warlock, who is the son of stunt coordinator / The Shape, Dick Warlock. We pan over to see Karen and Darcy walking to a car. Karen is played by Pamela Susan Shoop. Darcy is played by Anne Marie Martin of Prom Night alongside Jamie Lee Curtis. Karen says, "I cannot believe it. Pin the tail on the donkey and bobbing for apples? Actually, bobbing in water, no less."
You've got to use water, because see, if you don't use water...
"I'm never going to another Halloween party as long as I live. Especially not at Stevie Mathis' house. And of course, now I'm going to be late."
Oh, you've got to drive me home first.
"Oh, Darcy, I don't have time."
Well, you've got to.
"Oh, can't you ask Eddie Lee?"
He's in Russellville.
"Oh, it's 5 minutes to your house. Another 5 minutes back to the hospital. Miss Owls is gonna kill me."
You promised.
"I'm not dead." And they get in her car and drive away. Radio teen comes back across the street and bumps into the Shape. And we follow the Shape for a bit as the dope score picks up. The Shape turns down a road with a sign pointing the way that leads to the hospital. And the reason that the scene was actually added in later by John Carpenter. Don't know why I blanked on the legend John Carpenter's name. But yeah, he directed this scene even though he was only the writer, because he realized that there was no reason that
the Shape would know where the hospital was,
or to know that she was even at the hospital.
Yeah.
But he heard it on the radio, so now he knows to go find her.
Yeah.
So yeah, we cut back to the hospital. Karen has arrived and parks in a visitor-only spot. So that was a weird little fact. Just like, she is staff and she's parking in a visitors-only parking spot.
Yeah.
After she walks away, we see the Shape in the reflection of her side mirror. Ah!
Ah!
We cut to inside, in the break room, with Jimmy, Bud, and Janet watching the news. Bud says,
I sure could go for a pizza now. A nice big one with sausage, onions, peppers. But no mushrooms. I hate mushrooms. It looks like a gosh dang homecoming.
We cut to a random shot of outside. Back inside, where we get a random shot of a hallway. Before we cut to the security desk, where Mr. Garrett is too busy reading to see that the Shape is walking past a security camera outside. He stops reading when he hears Karen knocking at the door. He lets her inside, and she says, "Thank you." We then see a shot of a different door slowly closing. Bum, bum. Back to the break room where Janet says, "Julie saw him, you know?"
Oh.
"Michael Myers."
Come on.
"I swear, yesterday when she was coming to work."
And where did she see him?
"You know the shopping bag by the mall? She stopped at a light and saw him walking in that field behind the Lost River Drive-In. Julie said he was so creepy."
Julie's full of poop. He didn't escape until last night.
"Well, you don't have to swear."
I literally did. I said poop. She's a gosh dang moron anyway.
"Every word out of every word you say is either hell or poop or dang.
I'm sorry. I guess I just acidity up all the time. Oopsies.
Janet leaves in a huff. Karen comes in and says, "Ha!
You're late.
I know. Wait, where's my... Yeah, I know. I've gotta get on the war. Hajime." "Oh, hi, Karen." Karen says to Bud. "See you later."
Right.
Karen leaves. Bud sings a crude rendition of Amazing Grace. Jimmy says, "Look, why don't you just shut up, all right?"
Now, what are you all revved up about?
"Look, it could have been Ziggy. It could have been your brother Mark was pulled out of there."
All right. So what do you want me to do? Look, Jimmy, rule number 1, never get involved with a patient. Noises? That's another story. But patients? It's no good. It never works out. Where are you going? College boy? I'm telling you. Listen to old Bud.
Jimmy leaves and walks past a door that slowly closes. We then get some shape POV as he goes down the stairs.
Ah!
He then hides in the nursery. Wait, what?
Ah!
Oh, poor babies. As Karen walks past it in the hallway. Then Miss Alves walked past him. Out of shape POV, Miss Alves says to Karen, "You were late." No, wait. "You were late These voices are all too similar.
Yeah.
"You were late again." No. "You were late again." Sure, we'll go with that. "Tonight. Just 15 minutes." That could be the difference between life and death for one of those kids. "You're right, I'm sorry." Back to shape POV as Miss Alf says, "I don't want to hear your excuses. You're a good nurse. Karen, I'd hate to lose you. But you've got to be on time. Let's go over the list." The shape leaves the nursery. Now out of shape POV, Miss Alf says, "Mrs. Carr, 9:30. Tomorrow morning." We cut to Lori's room. Jimmy says, "God, they should have handled him more carefully."
Who?
"Oh, Michael Myers."
Michael Myers?
"Yeah, he was the guy who was after you."
From the Myers house? The little kid who killed his sister?
"Yeah,
But he's in a hospital somewhere.
he escaped last night."
How do you know?
"Oh, it's all over the radio. Television, too. It's on right now."
Why me? I mean, why me?
Miss Alves opens the door and says, "Time's up. Jimmy, let's go." Okay. He starts to mouth he'll be back to Lori. Miss Alves turns to him and says, "No, you won't. Visiting hours are definitely over." Jimmy leaves, and Miss Alves says to Lori, "Man, you can't live with them. You can't live without him. How's the shoulder feel?"
Better.
"Good. We've been trying to get a hold of your parents. Dr. Mixer told me they were at the same party he was, but they're not there now. And they're not at home. Do you have any idea where they might be?"
No.
"I'll just keep trying." Random cuts to the shape in a different part of the hospital. Back to Lori's room. Miss Alves says, "Oh, this is just..." She trails off and hangs up the phone and calls for Janet. Janet comes over and says, "Yes, Miss Alves?" Lost my own place.
Miss Alf says,
Miss Alves says,
"Tell Mr. Garrett."
"Tell Mr. Garrett we're having trouble with the phones right now." "But he's at the other end of the hall." "Janet?" "Yes, Miss Alves." And she leaves. Lori asks,
What's wrong with the phones?
"Nothing for you to worry about. Just get some rest right now. I'll let you know as soon as we get a hold of your parents." She then leaves Lori. Lori picks up the phone to check it before hearing the wind blowing a branch into the window.
Oops.
We cut to Janet. and Mr. Garrett. Am I also Mr. Oh, good, you're Mr. Garrett. Okay.
I'm Mr. Garrett.
And Mr. Garrett says,
I'm gonna check the poll. You wait here. I'll call you.
he hands her a walkie-talkie. Janet says, I have to get back to the floor.
It'll take me 5 minutes.
But I don't even know how to use this thing.
Okay, bye, stupid.
What? Mr. Garrett
And
ignores and goes outside to the telephone pole. He hears a noise by the dumpster and goes over to investigate it. He finds blood in the dumpster and then is jump scared! Ah!
Ah!
By a cat.
By a cat.
Out. Oh. That's disappointing.
Yeah.
He then heads over and sees the sliding maintenance doors unlocked and open. He turns on the light and looks around for a bit before radioing in.
I think somebody broke into the storeroom. The lock was off.
We cut to Janet's end and hear it real staticky. She says, Mr. Garrett? I can't hear you.
One of you better drive down to the sheriff's station right away.
But she never hears that and says, Mr. Garrett, how do you work this thing?
Janet?
And then he hears a noise that sounds like something breaking. He goes to investigate it. He finds a door with an open lock on it, and he opens it, but it's just a closet. He hears a noise and continues opening another door that's also just a closet.
Yeah.
Then he closes the door, and the shaman's right behind it with a hammer and brings down claw first into his head, killing him. Oh, he's dead now.
Yeah.
Back to Janet, who says into the radio, Mr. Garrett, I gotta get back to the floor. Hello? She gets no response and leaves in a huff. We cut to the coroner's office, where Loomis, Gary, and a dentist named Graham are there. I did not finish that sentence when I wrote it. Graham is played by Jeffrey Kramer of Jaws and Jaws 2. Graham says,
It's difficult. Even the guns are charred. But look here. The gums are charred. But look here. See here? No fillings. He's young. Maybe 17. Maybe 18.
Michael Myers is 21!
Positive ID? Nope.
Yes?
Yep. Positive ID means we check x-rays and dental records.
That'll take hours!
No other way to know for sure. I'm sorry.
We haven't got hours! Listen to me. We've got to assume that Michael Myers is still alive. Another cop walks in. Gary says,
Everybody goes back out.
But we just closed it. No, that's kind of I already did that. He's an old man now. But we just closed it up.
I want a suite from Chestnut south to the bypass. I want every street, every house, every backyard.
Okay, you've got it. Cop leaves. Loomis says, Thank you. We cut to Gary and Loomis driving past the near riot outside the old Myers house. Gary calls in for another vehicle to be sent to the house. Loomis says, The tribe. One of their number was butchered. This is a wake. Gary looks over at Loomis, who's checking the bullets in his gun. Heightens my sense of security. They get out of the car. Gary yells to the crowd.
All right, knock it off. Come on, folks. Go home. Knock it off.
The cop from the coroner office comes out of the house and says, Empty. Plus, we covered the whole east end of town. There's nothing.
Check it again.
He just isn't here. There, even.
Check it again.
Mother, father.
You know, Haddonfield was a pretty quiet town before tonight. The only gunshots you ever heard were to start the track meet at the local high school.
Yet, one night in 1963, Michael Myers did murder his sister in that upstairs bedroom with a large butcher knife.
I remember.
On Halloween.
I was 16 years old.
It's his anniversary, Mr. Hunt. He came back.
After 15 years?
He waited with extraordinary patience. There was a force inside of him, biding its time. The staff grew accustomed to his immobility and silence. In many ways, he was the ideal patient. He didn't talk, didn't cry. He didn't even move. But he did when I shot him 6 times! He got up! Sorry. He just waited. The staff was unprepared. They didn't know what he was.
Did you know?
Yeah, I knew. Craig and Randy run up to them. Craig is played by Billy Warlock of Society, alongside director Brian Usma, writer Zeffie Daniels of Bride of Reanimator, writer Rick Fry of Bride of Reanimator, cinematographer Rick Fitcher of Bride of Reanimator, stuntman Tom Elliott of Friday the 13th 3, stunt coordinator Dan Bradley of Reanimator, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and Freddy's Dead, Heidi Kozak Haddad of Friday the 13th Part 7, makeup artist Nick Benson of Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and Bride of Reanimator, special effects technician Robert De Palma of Nightmare on Elm Street 4, special effects technician Makio Kita of Nightmare on Elm Street 4, makeup artist Ron Nyrum?
Yeah.
Of Nightmare on Elm Street 5 and Freddy's Dead, Lisa Love of Final Destination, Jennifer Martin of Friday the 13th Part 7, makeup artist Rebecca Scott of Bride of Reanimator, makeup artist Phyllis Temple of Friday the 13th Part 6, and Screaming Mad George of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, 4, Jack Frost, Bride of Reanimator, and Beyond Reanimator.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's Society. Billy Warlock is also another son of Dick Warlock. Just getting all his kids getting, spots in this movie. What the heck? Randy is played by Jonathan Prince. I'm Craig. Okay. I'm Craig. You're Randy. Just so you're ready.
Yep.
Craig says. I see. I was planning on doing like my kid voice, but I kind of did my kid voice for Jimmy. I guess he could be like the stoner guy. I haven't done one of those. Yeah, I'll go with that. Mr. Hunt?
Yeah? What is it, Craig?
I'm worried about Bennett Tramer.
He isn't home yet.
He left the party at 10.
It's only later after 11, boys. He was real drunk.
How old is he? 17?
He had a stupid mask on. Alright, boys.
And he waves them off. Loomis says, 17! And wearing a mask!
Oh, God.
Maybe we should check his dental records. The other cop runs over and says, Old Reservoir Road. They had a break-in in an elementary school. I'm pretty sure it's him. Come on! We come back to the hospital. We're with Karen in the maternity ward. She gets startled by one of the rooms buzzing for assistance. She goes in to check on the patient, but is grabbed by Bud. Karen yells, "Oh, stop! Oh, Bud, holding his finger that got hit during the surprise, says,
You could have broken it.
I wish I had. I also could have used this on you. She pulls out a pair of scissors out of her pocket. She adds, What a butthole!
Happy Halloween.
But you're the biggest jerk I've ever met.
But you love me.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Let's go down to the therapy room.
Ha 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 ha.
Bud's finger needs a little therapy.
I can't leave the kids right now.
Everybody's all weirded out tonight. All this Michael Myers crap. I just want...
Puts his hand behind her head and brings her in for a kiss. Bud says,
The therapy room is 3 doors down.
Fun fact, me and Chris have a friend who had the same music teacher as the drummer of 3 Doors Down. Karen says, What? I suppose if we left the door open, we could... If somebody was coming or if the kids started to cry... No, I better check it out first.
15 minutes.
If everything's okay.
You're wasting time.
We get some shots of empty hallways before cutting to Lori sleeping. She's having a dream. It's her when she's younger, saying...
Why don't you tell me? Why won't you ever tell me anything?
Her nanny, or actually might be her mom, honestly, says... I told you, I'm not your mother. She sees, it's because it's a dream, it's really scary sounding. She sees some blood dripping before she's walking into a big empty room with a young boy sitting on a chair. More blood's pooling. And she wakes up and looks around for a bit before falling back asleep. 1 second, let me just, I gotta flip to, I need the last page as well. Okay, where was I? Sorry. Young boy is played by Nicole Drucker. The boy is played by Adam Gunn. I'll mention them here. I had initially mentioned them at the end, but I'll mention at least her mom here, because maybe this is her mom. Spoiler. Kind of, but Laurie's mother is played by Pamela McMyler of Blood Beach, alongside Horror Boy alums Ian Abercrombie, special effects artist Dan Kingemi of Child's Play 3, and the late John Saxon of Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and New Nightmare, and Black Christmas. And maybe this is her mother, which might make sense a little bit later, but also still not really. But also, this is the only possible person who could be her mother in this whole movie, and her mother is credited. And her father! There's no one that could possibly be.
Yeah.
But yeah, the boy is played by Adam Gunn. I won't spoil who the boy is, because it's just a random boy. I mean, what else could it be, you know? We cut to the therapy room, where we see Bud in the tub, looking through the frosted glass at Karen disrobing. She covers herself with a towel before coming in and immediately dropping the towel. So that was a really, weird moment, where she is obviously, she's obviously naked behind the frosted glass, covers up with a towel, walks 4 feet in a completely closed room with someone she's about to be naked with, and then drops the towel.
Yeah.
Why would she not just walk in naked the whole time?
Karen's real smart, right?
You know that. That's right.
She's the brightest bulb.
Yeah,
So, anyways.
So yeah, she covers herself with a towel before coming in and immediately dropping the towel and getting in the water. She says, "Ew, hot." They start making out. She stops and says, "Whew, it's hot in here."
It's just me.
They start kissing again. We get a quick shot showing the shape, raising the temperature. Karen stops again and says, "I'm not kidding. It's too hot in here now. Why don't you go check?
It's cold out there."
It can get cold in here."
Gotcha. Yeah.
He gets up and heads to the other room, where the temperature controls are. We cut to Karen drying herself off, and behind her, through the frosted glass, the shape strangles Bud to death. The shape comes in and stands behind her and places his hand on her shoulder. Karen says, "Forget it, Bud. I have to go back to work." The shape doesn't move his hand, so she puts her on it. "You want to go for breakfast later?" He doesn't respond, so she playfully bites his hand, saying, "No, I'm sorry. I just have to get back, that's all." The shape pulls his hand away. She turns to him, saying, "Now, Bud, don't be that way." When she sees the shape, she screams, "Ah!"
Uh-huh.
He then repeatedly dunks her head into the water as the temperature rises to scalding, and she dies from some combination of drowning and or burning.
Yeah.
We cut to the elementary school. We see a broken window with some blood on it. A new cop, I think this is the one played by Dick Warlock, says, "He got in here." And look over here. He takes them to a bloody handprint on the desk. The cop says, and here. And he walks over to the desk where a knife is stuck, inside the daughter of a drawing of a family with a mom, dad, son, and daughter. Loomis says, Sister!
Is that it?
The cop replies, No, here. But before we see what is here, we pan up from the knife to show a car drives up and a woman gets out. Gary asks,
What's this?
It's gibberish. No! It's a Celtic word. We see a word written in blood on the chalkboard. Loomis continues, Samhain, which I don't believe is how it's actually pronounced. I don't remember how it's pronounced, but it's not Samhain, but that's what Loomis says. October 31st. In walks a woman. Wait, sorry, I jumped a spot, sorry. Samhain.
Yeah.
It means the Lord of the Dead. The end of summer. The festival of Samhain. October 31st. In walks the woman. It's Marion, the nurse who was with Loomis in the first movie when Myers escapes the mental hospital. Marion is played by the returning Nancy Stevens. Marion says,
Dr. Loomis?
Oh, sorry, I was looking down at the next time she said it. Sorry. Yes?
I have to talk to you.
I didn't recognize you. What are you doing here?
Privately?
They head into the hall.
Dr. Loomis, you've been ordered back to Smith's Grove.
Ordered? He can't order me.
No, but the governor can. You spoke to Dr. Rogers personally a few hours ago.
The governor! Well.
Dr. Loomis, this thing is all over the state. Your patients escape once, murders 3 teenagers. You shoot him with a gun, he escapes again.
I shot him 6 times! Oh, wait, sorry. I didn't say that. Someone should have listened to me earlier.
I know. I'm sorry. Dr. Rogers is just afraid this could jeopardize our whole rehabilitation program. He doesn't want anyone from the mental health department anywhere near Haddonfield.
Why did he send you down here then?
In case you'd already found him. Alive.
Tell Dr. Rogers you couldn't find me. Tell him anything. I can't leave Haddonfield now. I have to shoot him 6 more times.
I'm afraid you don't have a choice. There's a marshal waiting for you outside. We cut to security footage of the shape walking through the halls of the hospital.
Then we cut to Jimmy in Laurie's room. He says, Laurie, listen, I know that you don't know me very well, but I just want to let you know that I'm not going to let anything happen to you, okay? Promise. She stares off into the distance, saying nothing. Jimmy says, Laurie? He waves his hand in front of her eyes and checks her pulse. He yells, a poop! And runs out to get help. Nurse Jill comes in to check on her. We cut to Janet, running down the hall. She opens the door to Dr. Mixter's office and says, Janet. Okay, yeah. Dr. Mixter? She comes in and sees his shower is running before opening a different door in the office and sees him in his chair looking at his fish tank. Dr. Mixter, it's an emergency. Dr. Mixter, it's Laurie Strode. She had a reaction to the medication. You better come quick. When he still doesn't respond, she turns him around, and a syringe is stabbed into his temple. She backs up into the darkness, and we can barely make out the shape. And he grabs her and stabs her with a syringe in the temple. He does a head tilt to admire his killing of her. Actress Anna Alicia committed to falling limp when she died, but a desk wasn't moved out of the way, and she hit her head on the corner and got a cut on her eye and had to get rushed to the hospital.
Ow.
She wanted them to just use the shot, but apparently they couldn't because there was real blood in it.
Dang.
Yeah. And then apparently also like Janet's scene earlier with like Bud and Jimmy in the break room was filmed after, and that's why her face, you only actually ever see one side of her face because like they're blocking the other side of her face and she's wearing a ton of makeup to cover it up.
Mm.
Man, I guess it's not really a fun fact. I mean, she's fine now, but
Yeah, it was not a fun fact at
No.
the time that it happened.
back to Laurie's room where Jimmy says, "This is ridiculous." Wait, no, sorry. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna go find Miss Owls. That's not the right voice. Why did I
That's
lose his
definitely not
voice?
Jimmy.
It's the Tails voice. Hi, I'm Tails. There it is. Okay, sorry. I just had to remember what voice that I'm using for it. Where is it? This is ridiculous. I am gonna go find Miss Owls. He runs off and goes to the ladies' lounge, but it's empty. So he continues to search. Back to Jill with Lori. She has to go see a different patient when they buzz for her. We switch to Shape POV as he watches Jill enter the other patient's room from down the hall. He enters Lori's room with a scalpel and starts stabbing at her bed. But when he lifts the sheet, it's just pillows. Oh. We get a quick shot of Lori hobbling on her fractured ankle in the hall. Back to the Shape, who turns and leaves the hospital room. Quick shot of hobbling Lori. Then we see Jill leave the other patient's room and head back to Lori's. Jill says,
I don't remember this character's name or voice at all.
this was, I don't remember the name of the character, but this is your, like, fancy girl voice. You used it for the Sonic one for the princess.
Did I really?
Yeah, it was this voice. This is what you used for her.
I don't think that's true.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just go with it. They won't know the difference.
Laurie, are you okay?
As she looks around the room for Lori, we get a quick shot of Lori hobbling, then a shot of the Shape in the hall, then back to Lori. Then we transition into Shape POV shot. Wait, no, it's Lori's POV shot. As she walks into a hospital room and picks up a phone. End of POV shot. And Lori slides to the ground with the phone. Shot of the Shape. Back to Lori. Back to the Shape. Back to Lori! Who puts down the phone when she hears a noise. She crawls to the door and checks the hall. When she sees nothing, she crawls back inside the room. She closes the door and rocks in fetal position before passing out. We cut to Marion, Loomis, and Gary exiting the elementary school. Gary says,
We'll find him.
"Where are you gonna look?"
I don't know.
"Neither do I." Loomis and Marion get in the back seat of the marshal's car. The marshal is played by the late John Zenda of Perfect Victims, and was a pro wrestler in the mid-60s and early 70s, so he was cast in the Sylvester Stallone movie Paradise Alley alongside wrestling legends Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., Gene Kaminsky, Dick Murdoch, Ted DiBiase, and Haku.
Huh.
It's a movie about like wrestling that also stars Sylvester Stallone as, I think, a wrestler. Might just be I don't remember. I've never seen it. Jill runs to the security desk, calling out,
Mr. Garrett?
but only finds his hat there. As she walks away, the camera As she walks away, the camera pans down to the security monitor, and we see the Shape walking the halls and entering a room. We then see,
I'm remembering Jill's voice now.
we then see Jill entering the hall on the monitor. She opens the door looking for Mr. Garrett, but gets startled by Jimmy from behind her. Jimmy says, "Sorry, listen, I can't find anybody. Bud's gone, Miss Owls is gone. We gotta find Lori." We cut to a shot from inside the room. They're talking. Inside the room they're talking outside of, and we see the shadow of the Shape. Jimmy says, "All right, listen. Why don't you check the East Wing again? All right? If you don't find anybody, get in the car and drive out to the sheriff's and get someone out here. All right?"
Okay.
"Okay, I'll keep looking." They both walk away and never noticing the Shape standing behind them. Quick shot of Lori, then to Jimmy, who calls out, "Hello?" He heads into the minor surgery room, where he finds Miss Owls strapped to the operating table, and sees she has an IV hanging from her arm that's dripping blood to the floor. He looks down and notices he's standing in a giant pool of blood. He turns to leave and slips, knocking himself out when he hits the floor.
What a doofus.
Yeah. Well, that's why I sound like this.
Yeah.
We cut to Jill, whose car's engine won't start. She gets out and sees it's leaking oil, and all the tires are slit. She starts to head back to the hospital and notices Karen's tires are also slit. Ah! So she runs back inside. We cut to Lori, who's struggling to her feet. She starts to hobble down the hall. Jill sees her and says,
Lori?
Lori turns around. Jill continues.
Lori, Lori.
The shape comes up behind Jill and stabs her in the spine with a scalpel and lifts her off the ground until her feet go limp and he drops her dead body on the ground. Lori runs away as the shape slowly stalks her. She heads down some stairs and goes into the boiler room to hide. She backs up to the hanging body of Mr. Garrett. She screams. Nope. Gotta make a different sound to make it scream. Perfect.
Yeah.
Just from now on, whenever I say a character screams, just do whatever scream you do when I go, ah, like with like the, and then the spooky thing happens, because that one always picks up. That time it didn't when I said to do it. So, you know what? I don't know. We're just moving on. Just forget about it. Just don't do any screams. Never scream. The shape enters the boiler room. So Lori climbs up to a small window that looks like it'd be leading to outside, but it doesn't. The shape tries to grab at her, but he's unable to get out? I don't know. But he's unable to get out and falls. She's able to get out and falls to some boxes below. She's now in a storage room and runs over to the elevator. The shape is slowly walking to Lori as she waits for the elevator to reach the basement. She gets in and closes the door just in time as the shape is right there. Once at the ground level, Lori runs into the parking lot. She gets into Jill's car and hides on the floorboard of the passenger side. We cut to the Marshal, Loomis, and Marion driving. Loomis says, "You didn't believe me. Nobody did."
I'm sorry.
"Don't feel sorry for me. Feel sorry for that little town back there. It'll be years before they forget this. How I shot him 6 times!"
Dr. Loomis, I think there's something else you should know.
"Did you see the blackboard back there? At the elementary school?"
Yeah?
"In order to appease the gods, the druid priests held fire rituals. Prisoners of war, criminals, the insane, animals were burned alive in baskets. By observing the way they died, the druids believed they could see omens of the future. 2,000 years later, we've come no further. Samhain isn't the evil spirit. It isn't goblins or ghosts or witches. It's the unconscious mind. We're all afraid of the dark inside ourselves."
Dr. Loomis, please, listen to me. There's a file on Michael Myers that nobody knew about.
"I've seen everything."
No. It was hidden, sealed by the court after his parents were killed. Now, after the governor heard what happened tonight, he authorized Dr. Rogers to open it.
"What file?" I said, "What file?" What?
Did you say something?
I said, "What file?" Twice.
Okay, it didn't pick up at all.
Oh. Well, it'll pick up on my mic.
It isn't fair. They should have allowed you to examine everything. That girl, that Strode girl, that's Michael Myers' sister. She was born 2 years before he was committed. 2 years after, his parents died, and she was adopted by the Strodes. They requested that the records be sealed in order to protect the family.
Jeez! Don't you see how bad the writing has just gotten? Sorry. Don't you see what he's doing here in Haddonfield? He's killed one sister 15 years ago, and now he's trying to kill the other. Tonight, after I shot him. 6 times! Where did they take her?
The clinic.
The clinic? Do you know this area well? I believe you're the marshal.
Bit.
Where is the hospital located?
No.
Nope.
Dr. Loomis, we're under orders from the governor. It's back on Route 17 back to your mouth.
Turn this car on now!
I can't do that. I've got orders.
Loomis pulls out his gun and says, "Those orders have changed!"
Dr. Loomis. Doctor, you're getting yourself into a whole lot of trouble.
What do you fellows usually do? Fire a warning shot, right? He shoots out the passenger window. The marshal turns the car around immediately. And I will pause here to talk about, it's something that doesn't feel that crazy to me because I've watched all the movies and whatnot. But man, does that last couple paragraphs of both of them giving information just kind of ruin everything that made the first one special to a point. It's just oh no, he's not just the embodiment of evil. He's actually specifically a druid priest related thing, and also his sister's Lori. So she wasn't just some random girl that he happened to pick and wanted to kill. It can't happen to everyone. It only happens to his sisters. You have to be his sister. So honestly, if you're me or you, don't be scared. We're not his sisters, and we don't know his sisters. So we're fine.
We're also not in Haddonfield, Illinois.
Oh, I'm not?
No.
They don't know where we live. I live in Haddonfield, Illinois.
No, he doesn't. He lives in Oklahoma.
Wait, what? No, I would never, ever live in Oklahoma. If you start spreading that line, I'm gonna start telling people you live in Ohio.
No!
That's what I thought.
Down in Ohio. Swag like Ohio. Yeah.
Back to Lori, hiding in Jill's car. She hears footsteps and sees a shadow at the driver's side door. The door opens and it's Jimmy, who sits down and tries to start the car. Lori says,
Jimmy.
He looks over her and says, "It's all right. We're gonna get out of here. I think And he passes out, with his head landing on the horn. Lori pulls him off and tries to start the car, but when it won't start, she opens the car door and falls to the ground. She starts to crawl toward the marshal's car as they pull up to the hospital. Loomis says, "I'll have to handcuff you to the wheel. I have a feeling I'm going to need you in there. Can I trust you?"
What have I got to lose except my job?
They head inside. Lori on the ground tries to call out for their help, but she's too weak to get her voice loud enough for them to hear her. Right after they close the door, though, she is able to yell.
Help me!
Inside, Loomis says, "Go and check all the rooms down there. Go on!" He points his gun at the marshal, who leaves to check the rooms. Marion says,
Dr. Loomis?
"You stay with me and shut up!" Back outside, Lori struggles to her feet. She starts hobbling towards the door, but she sees the shape in the distance, so she picks up the pace. She bangs on the door, repeatedly yelling,
Help!
Right.
Help!
No, just once.
Help! 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 Help!
Loomis
Repeatedly.
hears her and runs to unlock the door. Loomis says, "Come on, get in!" He locks the door behind them, and the shape walks right through the glass door. Loomis then shoots the shape 5 times, and he falls to the ground. The marshal walks up next to the shape, and Loomis yells, "Stop!"
He's dead.
"No, he's not. Look at him. He's still breathing."
Okay.
And he steps back. Loomis says, "There's a 2-way radio in the marshal's car. I want you to go outside, get on the radio, and get Hunt." The marshal stops Marion and says,
Now, wait a minute. I'm the only one authorized to use that.
"Move!" And Marion runs outside. Loomis says to Lori, "I'm sorry I left you. Are you alright?" The marshal bends down to check on the shape. Lori asks,
Why won't he die?
Loomis turns to the shape and sees the marshal and yells, "Get away from him!"
But he stopped breathing.
The shape sits up and grabs the marshal. The shape
Oh no, he's not breathing.
The marshal, he then slits the marshal's throat and Loomis yells, "No! But I shot you 6 times! And then 5 times! For a total of
5 additional
11 times!
Yeah. Finish it out.
Loomis! Loomis'
shape
voice
stands
hurts
up.
my throat!
Oh, that's fair. I was gonna take that next line for you since you're coughing so hard.
No! Where's my line? Who
The
is
shape
it?
stands up and starts walking towards Lori and Loomis, who run away.
We get a classic... Wait, sorry, not me. We get a classic slasher chase scene as they run through the halls of the hospital. Loomis and Lori lock themselves in the major surgery room. Cut to outside, where over the radio we hear...
Unit calling.
No, this is me because you're Marion. Makes more sense.
Oh, true.
Unit calling. Identify.
Marion Chambers with Dr. Loomis at the clinic. He's here.
10-4. Unit calling. Identify suspect.
Michael Myers. Just get your butt over here.
Back to the surgery room. Lori cowers in the farthest corner from the door. Loomis tries to hand her his second gun, saying, Come on. Come on. Take it.
No.
Take it and then shoot him 6 times. He
And
can't
then
tell.
additional 5 times!
Yeah, if you can't tell everyone, he after the first 3 times he says 6 times, it's all a joke. Just in case you thought because I'm doing it in the voice, you're like, oh, is this an actual line? He says 6 times, 50 times in this movie? No, but I like saying it. Take it. The shape is at the door. Loomis lays the gun in front of Lori. Loomis walks to the side of the door to get the shape when he walks in. The shape breaks the glass of the window and then breaks through the door. Loomis, a mere foot from the shape, goes for the killing shot. But his gun's out of bullets. The shape then stabs Loomis in the gut with a scalpel. Loomis stumbles backwards. The shape turns his sight to Lori. Lori picks up the gun and says,
Michael?
He stops for a moment, does the head tilt, before continuing towards her.
Michael, stop.
She closes her eyes and shoots him twice! The shape stumbles backwards, and we see she shot him in both eyes as the blood's pouring out of the masked eye holes. The shape blindly stumbles around, swinging wildly, but is closing in on Lori. Loomis gets up and opens the valve on a tank of ether. The noise draws the shape towards Loomis. Lori follows suit and turns the valves on some tanks near her. The shape starts back towards her. Loomis pulls the gas lines to both the ether and the oxygen. The shape starts back towards Loomis. Loomis says, Lori, get out! Get out now! She runs out the door and into the hall. Loomis says, It's time, Michael! And he pulls out his lighter and blows up the room. The explosion knocks Lori down in the hall. Lori looks back and sees the shape still coming towards her, completely engulfed in flames. But he falls down halfway down the hall.
Yippee!
Yeah. Outside, Gary asks,
What's the count?
10 so far. We see Lori being wheeled over to an ambulance in a wheelchair. She asks the paramedic,
Can I ride in the front?
Sorry, I have to put you in the back. You ready? Watch out for your feet. He helps her into the ambulance, and it drives off into the fog. The movie The Fog. We're going to review The Fog immediately, because they drive off into the fog. So there's some pirates, and they're ghosts, and Laurie Strode is there. We see a shot of Laurie's face as Mr. Sandman starts to play, and we transition into a shot of the shape burning. We head to our credits, which includes both of Laurie's parents, despite the fact that I don't remember even seeing them, but I guess maybe we saw her mother, but I will mention her father here, I guess. Her father is played by Dennis Holohan of Scarface, apparently.
There you go.
What do I think about this movie? I like it, I think. It's definitely a very by-the-numbers slasher film. It is not nearly the masterpiece that the first one is, but it is definitely a passable, entertaining slasher film. I enjoy it. I love Donald Pleasant's performance as Loomis. I know you might sound like I'm mocking it, but I genuinely love hearing that man bellow out 6 times. Like, the passion he has, it really does elevate any scene he is in. Yeah, I love Loomis. I mean, I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis is fine as Laurie. I don't know. She's just kind of there.
Yeah, she really isn't a big presence in this movie, to be honest.
Or the first movie, really. But she gets credit for being the greatest final girl, and I don't really get it. I mean, I don't have outward issues against her. It's not like I think she's a bad final girl. I just think that she is weirdly chosen as like the number one final girl. And I don't, by some people. I mean, obviously there's arguments for, your Nancy Thompson, your Sidney Prescott's, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Christy something from Hellraiser. I've heard that name thrown around. But overall, Laurie Strode is mentioned a lot. And I don't know if she deserves it. Not that she's bad. That's my spicy take for this podcast. Is I like Laurie Strode, but I don't understand the love for Laurie Strode.
That I think is valid, especially as Scream franchise enjoyers.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe here's the thing. Maybe when I rewatch H2O, and that's really the only one she's in after this. Spoiler: She's only like the opening of Resurrection, and then she comes back in Halloween 2018, but that doesn't count because she was already loved before that. So maybe H2O is the movie where she really like comes into her own as like a great final girl. Because here I just kind of feel like she's there, which is most final girls, to be honest. Like, there are the very few exceptions of your Sidney Prescott's and your Nancy Thompson, starting in Dream Warriors. Not in the original. You know my spicy takes on that. If you want to hear that and you don't know, go back and watch the First Time on Elm Street podcast. But yeah, overall, I like it. It's decent enough. It's got fun enough characters. If you like slasher movies, I think you'll enjoy this. If you don't like slasher movies, you honestly might not enjoy this one.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I felt like it was, for a sequel of Halloween, a pretty, like, fluid transition, and I think part of that is due to them literally, like, picking up from exactly where the other movie left off with the timeline.
That is a great point.
It does kind of feel like you are just following the entire story. The fact that they got away with making this movie as fast as they did after the first Halloween, I think probably helps that
3 years later,
a lot.
But yeah, fair.
Yeah, I mean, could be a lot worse. We've seen a lot worse for turnaround time.
Yeah. There also hasn't been a movie that we've covered with this huge of a first movie that didn't immediately, like, some of those, like, Nightmare on Elm Street was like every other year. Yeah. Like, it was crazy.
But I did enjoy that. The writing does get pretty contrived during parts of the movie. Although unfortunately without that I don't know if they would have been able to fill up a actual full feature length film runtime. So, it is what it is. It does kind of, I don't know, it feels rushed but also not at the same time. And I think my biggest complaint is that, Laurie Strode kind of takes a backseat through most of this movie, even though she is kind of the main driving plot point.
I watched this movie for Jimmy.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't. I watch all these movies for Loomis, and Loomis is great.
Loomis
is the real final girl. Spoiler: he's not dead in the timeline. He comes back. Because reasons. Because he was still alive and he's amazing. That's really the reason. It's the same. It's the Herbert West. But did he do it first? Yeah, I guess he would have. Because the first. Yeah, because it was 80. This was 81. The next time Michael Myers comes back is 88. But that 88 is before 90. The time that Herbert West comes. This doesn't matter. We're gonna move on. The point is, next week we're watching the weirdest Halloween movie because it's just not a Halloween movie.
I haven't seen this one. Oh. I'm not looking forward to it.
I would say maybe actually honestly go into it not looking forward to it because I went into it with, I guess I'm saying it because we're on the podcast, but yeah, I went into it hearing a lot of people say that it's actually not that bad. It's pretty good if you look at it as not a Halloween film. But I still was like, oh, it's okay. But we'll see if my opinion changes when I rewatch it for the podcast. And let's see what Chris's thoughts are.
Yeah.
Whoa. This has been a podcast. If you liked it, you should leave a 5-star review on any podcast app you use. If you want to see our pretty little faces, head on over to youtube.com/@horrorboys. If you want to support us directly, patreon.com/horrorboys, where eventually there will be a $5 perk. As of lately, there hasn't been. But also, none of you subscribe right now when I'm filming this, so it's okay. We're not letting anyone down currently. But yeah, I've been Austin, joined by Chris as always.
Chris.
I say that. It's my part of the outro. I go like, I've been Austin, joined by Chris. I'm the host, so I'm saying thank you to me.
Goodbye.
Bye.